this video, we will be discussing statistics and the distribution of data. We'll be focusing on stem and leaf plots. By the end of this video, you will be able to read a stem and leaf plot. So a stem and leaf plot is a special table where each value is split into a stem, the first digit or digits, and a leaf, which is the last digit. Stem and leaf plots organize data by place value. For example, 32 is split into 3, which is the stem, which represents the 30s, and 2, which is the leaf, or represents the ones. So let's take a look at a stem and leaf plot here. So the stem represents the first number. So it could be a 10, it could be a 1 if we're dealing with decimals. Leaves represent the second number. So if I'm dealing with 10s for the stem, that means the leaves are 1s. If I'm dealing with 1s for the stem, and then that means I'm dealing with decimals for the leaves. The 8 represents one of the 8s in the data set. The 1 in this column represents a value of 10, which represents the tens place for the value of 14 and 15. So if I have 10 here and 4 ones there, that's 14. 1 10 here, 5 ones there, that's my 15. Up here I have 0 tens and an 8, so that means I have 8 ones. Each 3 represents a data point of 33. Notice that 33 appears 3 times in the data set. So here are my 3 33s. 3 is in the stem, which is a 10. So there's 33, 33, and 33. Let's take a look at this stem and leaf plot. How many players scored less than 56 points? Well, here's my 5 for my 50. Here's my 6 for my 1. So there's my 56 points. So now I just need to count the numbers that are less than 56. And when I do that, I come up with 8 players scoring less than 56 points. How many total players are there? Well, I need to count all of the leaves because those represent each one of the players. And when I do that, I come up with 17 players. What are the 3 lowest scores? So again, lowest scores mean minimum. So minimum on here would fall into the 30s because that's my least 10 value. And then I have 1, 2, 3 scores there. So my least or 3 least scores would be 32, 33, and 34. What are my top 2 scores? Well, then I need to look at my maximum amounts. So my maximum 10 is 80 because my maximum stem is 8. And then my 2 top scores would be the 5 and the 7 here. So I would have 85 and 87. Which stem has the highest frequency? So again, when I take a look at this, I want to see which one has the most because that's what it means by highest frequency. And it looks like this right here has the most. And so the stem of 5 has the highest frequency. What is the range of scores? So I need to look at my smallest score, which here is in the 30s, and it looks like 32 is my minimum score, and my maximum score would be in the 8 or the 80s, and that looks like a 7 here. So then I have 87. And the difference between 32 and 87 is 55 points. Describe the shape of the distribution. Well, when I take a look here, my peak or my highest frequencies kind of in the middle here, and everything else looks the same on both sides. So I would say that this is symmetrical. All right, let's take a look at this stem and leaf plot. First question says, how many students were surveyed? So again, I need to count up all of my leaves. And when I do that, I come up with 26 students because I have 26 leaves. What does 7 with a line and then 4 mean in the stem and leaf plot? That's my key. So this represents or tells me how to read my stem and leaf plot. So this would be 74. What stem has the greatest frequency? So again, I'm looking for stems that have the most leaves, and it looks like I have 1, 3, and 10 all have the same amount. So what stem has the greatest frequency? It would be the stems of 1, 3, and 10. How many students read between 10 and 19 books? Well, here is my 1 for 10, and then I want to go through 19. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would say 5 students read those books. I would not use this 10 because that represent 10 groups of 10 or 100. So all of these numbers in here are in the hundreds. So it'd be 101, 101, 107, 108, 109. How many students read between 30 and 39 books? So again, I'm going to look in my stem of 3, which is right here. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, 5 students read between 30 and 39 books. Now, let's take a look at the distribution here. So my first one asked about the peaks. Well, my peaks are the same things as the greatest frequency, so I can use this answer here for my peak. So it'd be the stems of 1, 3, and 10. Clusters, well, when I look here, I've kind of got a lot of data kind of grouped over here. So I would say between the stems of 1 to 5. Gaps, looks like I have a gap at stem 6 and a gap at stem 8. The shape, this one is kind of a unique one because I have a couple of peaks here and then I have a peak over here. So when I draw out kind of to trace my shape, kind of has that look to it. So to me, I would say since I have peaks on both sides and it kind of falls off into the middle, I would say that this one is more symmetrical than it is skewed one way or the other.